All right, guys. Well, let's talk about SoFi's earnings and no fluff, no intros, anything else of that nature. What a great performance on earnings. But we got some questions too, right? Is it currently overvalued right now? What the heck is the future of SoFi stock? And there's also some other lessons to be learned from the stock and from this particular earnings call in general. So let's discuss that today. Just make sure you like the video if you like getting the truth out the hype, because that's exactly what you're going to get today, guys. And the way I'm going to kind of approach this a little bit differently here is because we got the earnings flash sale going on for my group right now. I'm just going to give you guys the recap video that I gave to my group there. We've actually done 13 different videos in SoFi this year, but I'm going to kind of replay that for you guys so that way I'm not just rehashing the same exact points here over again. Obviously, take advantage of that earnings flash sale. Guys, I've made more than 100 plus buys and maybe closer to 200 in SoFi, in Palantir, and other stocks like that over the past 3 years. That is exactly what the group does. Identifies undervalued gems years in advance. If you're looking for the next 10x stock right now today, that's not our group. We're not looking for the stocks that are just popping off. We're looking to find a stock that is going to return to us and going to be that great stock 2 years, 3 years, 4 years into the future there due to performance right now. And more importantly, Wall Street beating it down right now for no good reason. That's exactly what we teach. Having a plan, setting price targets, understanding what you own, and not chasing hype, but finding great companies with great performance. And that is exactly what we have gotten with SoFi here in regards to this earnings. So it's a pinned comment down there. Take advantage of that sale before it expires for my group. But let's jump into the video right here and show you guys exactly what we discussed. All right, guys, let's talk about SoFi's earnings, the earnings call and all that stuff. Just wrapped up taking my notes and kind of going through everything there. And there's an important lesson coming here in just a second that everybody needs to hear, especially our newer members. It's critical for you guys. So just make sure you stick around for that too. And we'll also talk about valuation too as well after all this. So make sure you stick around for that discussion. But let me kind of get into the earnings here. They were great. And I'm not trying to be a hype machine, but this is one of their best quarters ever, maybe the best quarter ever that I've seen from a performance standpoint. And remember, they have had 14 plus quarters of great performance, right? Really good to great performance. But this one might very well top the list. Again, I can't remember all of them, so I couldn't say it was a top, but it's definitely up there. Way, way, way up there. This is the culmination and really the beginning of the foundation we have been discussing coming to life. And the best part is the big growth according to management. This is not Luke's opinion. This is not YouTube opinion or X-hype trash that's out there saying this, that, and the other. But according to management, the big growth is coming in 2026 and the year after that in 2027. Even Noto alluded this earnings call about pouring the foundation for decades of growth into the future. And then he said he's not sacrificing that future growth for short-term wins like other companies are doing right now. I mean, you guys read between the lines all you want on that, but it was very, very clear to me exactly what he was saying and all that good stuff. This is why I love seeing massive foundations being poured while others are putting up small foundations and then stick homes really, really quickly. And basically it means this foundation right here is being poured over here. Stock falls out of favor. Nobody wants it because everybody else is looking like they're making more progress, looking like they're ahead, but it's because they're working on a much smaller foundation, going after those short wins like Noto talked about in this earnings call. He's talked about it before, but in this earnings call, he was very, very specific about it. And he's over here building this this massive foundation for years and decades of future growth. Now, if you're a trader, obviously you don't want to see that, but us as long-term investors, this is exactly what you were looking for. And especially this will become so, so important. Not right now in these hypey type markets, especially once the market turns or just goes just a little bit risk off. That is when you see the difference in the earnings. Don't care about stock price. I'm talking about the earnings. I wish I could remember the exact Buffett quote about you will see who is swimming naked when the tide goes out per se, something of that nature. But that's exactly what's going to happen. They are executing to make sure not only do they have a bathing suit on whenever the tide does go out, but they also have the abs and the muscles to show off to in their earnings. Now, stock price is going to do whatever it wants, but earnings will tell you the real story as to if you should buy that dip or not. That is why we focus on that, so important. Everything comes back to earnings in the end. And once again, they kept true to the beat and raise strategy across the board. I mean, it was just beats everywhere, right? I didn't actually, and it's rare that this happens, I didn't actually see anything negative in the earnings at all on any metric or any line item or anything else. I just didn't see it. I'm sure there was one. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure I'll do a deep dive later on and I'll find something. But in regards to the big hitters, even the medium hitters and some of the small hitters, They were all positive, which is very rare. Even Palantir, with their great earnings performance last quarter, still had a couple of obvious spots that needed to be improvement or weren't that great, but I just couldn't find it here. I mean, we're talking massive revenue beat, right? Right off the bat. The EPS beat was big on a percentage basis, excuse me. But still kind of a small number overall, as I don't get as excited about that because the EPS still is so little, I mean, we're talking a few pennies here, right? If it was $2 per share and it went up, 33%, 40%, whatever the number was, that's a much bigger deal. So we didn't see that, but it's still very good though. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted or saying Luke's negative about it or anything else. No, the beat was still big. Very, very nice to see. The loan platform is crushing it. You guys know I was really excited about this product when they launched it because it's almost pure profit with very low risk on the other side. And more importantly, it's brand new. So it's still at the beginning of its growth. And it's just something that it's just super easy for them to do. And apparently their customers are liking it. There's a lot of folks, oh, nobody's going to like it. I'm not sure the customers are going to take it. Clearly they are crushing it and their customers love it, or else they wouldn't be doing that. And oh, by the way, guys, we also haven't seen lending really explode across the board yet, because interest rates are still high. Wait until those rates come down and tell me how much a lot of the different loan products are going to perform. It's going to increase rapidly as that happens. Also, keep in mind with the loan platform, it's essentially accounted for as a fee-based income. So it's highly profitable to say the least. And that's exactly what we want to see, right? Get those margins up, which that obviously led to another margin expansion again. Margins were at 15% a year ago, and now they've improved every single quarter and they're up to 29% and accelerating. Margin expansion is what happens when you lay a great foundation and then you start executing and you turn around that business and you get everything moving in the right direction. Lending, again, is crushing it. I know we don't want that to get too far ahead, right? Because we want that, hybrid multiple, that tech multiple, or excuse me, that fintech multiple to come through and get closer to that fintech side as opposed to the banking side. Lending was up across the board. I didn't deep dive it that deep there, but it appeared to be up all the way across the board there. Obviously, member growth is just crushing it. I mean, that's accelerating, not decelerating, guys. And we also got lots of talk about crypto from Noto himself in the earnings call. That is a high margin and growing quickly line of business and what has been pushing Hood and others' performance overall. That's been one of their biggest growth drivers is that. And the great performance we just saw was not aided by crypto for SOFI, but it will be in the future. So it's another expansion of that foundation we just talked about for SOFI to build off of into the future there, as opposed to all those other companies. They're already making a killing from crypto. SOFI hasn't really even started yet, and they're laying the foundation for that. If you haven't listened to the call yet, go back and listen to it, and you will see the stark difference like we discussed on Tesla's earnings call the other day that we went through. You will see the difference in the call, the professionalism of the call, how dialed in that management team is, and of course, more importantly, the earnings performance overall as well. There's a stark difference between it all there. I'm not knocking anybody or anything of that nature, but I know a lot of times I get asked a lot, hey, what is a good earnings call? What does a good earnings call sound like? Go listen to SOFI's earnings call. That's exactly what a management team on point is, exactly how they execute on an earnings call per se, exactly how to discuss things, exactly how they answer questions, exactly how they give you tangible data to point to, so that way you can see exactly how the business is performing and how they project they're going to perform in the future. I want you guys to think about this here for just a second. Noto was a bad CEO just a few months ago, guys. That was the narrative going around. This management team isn't executing. SOFI is behind all their competitors. All of this other stuff like that was being said out there. I am not kidding. Go back in the archives there. Go look through the exclusive videos. I made video after video. I made 13, 14 videos this year just simply on on SOFI stock. That's how much we've just had to discuss SOFI because of all that noise that was out there. But that shows you how stupid people are when it comes to the investing and what they're looking at. I tell you guys all the time, ignore the noise, to include stuff from me. Do your own research, listen to the earnings calls. I mean, this management team was bad. That was the narrative. They just aren't executing like Hood is. They just aren't executing like company X is or like company Y is. That's what was being said. Some folks were saying, just sell. It's going nowhere. You're just wasting your money. It's dead money. Whatever the case is. I had to put out multiple videos, like we just said, addressing all the ridiculous bearishness because there were folks asking a lot of questions. And I just felt like I needed to do that because even some of the good bulls out there, some of the very reasonable guys in the SOFI space, I'm not talking about the hot guys, all the hype guys and all that sort of stuff. I'm talking about the very reasonable bulls out there started questioning SoFi a little bit in regards to what they're doing and how they're doing it. I mean, they weren't calling it trash like some did, but because the noise was so loud and Hood and other stocks like that popped off while SoFi fell, which did happen, they even started questioning SoFi stock some, those, reasonable bulls that are out there. This is why earnings are so important and not the stock price, and definitely not narratives or stories or anything else of that nature. Earnings is what is important. Earnings told me the company is great last quarter. Then the stock price, because it fell, told me SoFi was a steal deal. Stock price, on the other hand, told the people who don't know how to invest that it was a bad company because the stock price fell last quarter. And now, guess what? The stock price is up and it's had a huge pop. It's probably going to tell those same folks who let stock price dictate decisions that now it's a steal deal stock. So to kind of summarize, it's not a steal deal at $10. Now it's a steal deal at $25 or wherever the heck it ends up today. And then we wonder why retail investors routinely buy high and sell low. That's the reality of it, guys. That is exactly what happened once again in the retail crowd. I would be even more excited. You guys want me to be honest, I'm excited about these earnings, but I would be even more excited about this earnings call if SoFi was down this morning, right? That would have been the perfect scenario. The earnings report, a great, incredible earnings report, one of the best that they've ever had, plus a beatdown. That is how you make big money long-term in the market, because I can't predict, obviously SoFi tends to, run into earnings, have great earnings, and then gets beat down, right? Until it doesn't, like today, right? You can't chase that. You can't time that. You never know when that's going to happen. But sadly, most will never follow that formula and that mindset, more importantly, with their investments. That's why I harp on it so much in here, to make sure we stay focused on that, because it's really, really hard when you got stock price down, plus all the sentiment and all the narratives and everything else negative, even from some of the folks who are typically positive about a stock. They start questioning it. It definitely gets you questioning as well. That's why I don't listen to any of it. Straight to the earnings, and I move on with life. That's why earnings calls and getting into the numbers yourself and not watching reaction videos or doing any other things we talk about matters so much. All right, so let's discuss valuation next, as we got some updated guidance here. Now, I agree the updated guidance for 2025 here is sandbagged. I'm sorry, it just is. And they always sandbag. So to me, it probably is sandbagged as well this time around. But I'm not going to speculate as to how much it's sandbagged. And they didn't update their 2026 guidance either. So I can't really adjust my long-term price target yet, even though I know that number's sandbagged. And I can just kind of see how the numbers are moving for 2025. And, that means 2026 numbers are probably going to adjust as well. But I hate speculating on that sort of stuff. Instead, I kind of use it as a nice margin of safety already built into my numbers. So to me, it's still overvalued right now, especially with this big run. That is not an indication on where the short-term price will go. Nobody knows, guys. This sucker could run up to 30, 35. I mean, as we've seen, the market can get ridiculous to the upside and to the downside. If you've been in this group for a couple of years, you have seen both of those. Heck, if you've been in this group just simply for the past 6 months, you've seen that with SoFi stock specifically. And to be clear, it is nowhere near as overvalued as Tesla or Palantir, for example. I am not saying that at all. So if I was DCAing into the stock, I would just keep right on DCAing, as we are not even close to crazy levels yet in this stock. That's the reality of it. I'm just trying to be honest and upfront here, you guys. Now, if they adjust next year's guidance in the next couple of quarters, that could very well put it right back to undervalued territory again quickly. Or if it falls in the next few weeks, right? We get a nice, pump up today. Hey, a couple of weeks though, I don't know. Somebody just doesn't like the way Noto spells his name, so therefore it goes down, and kind of all the momentum follows. Okay, might very well be right back to undervalued again, and I'm picking up shares again. That's how close it is right now to not being in that overvalued category, in my opinion, of course. Now, if you give it a higher multiple than I do, it could very well be undervalued right now. I'm just really conservative there with my multiples overall. That's how I keep myself out of trouble. So if you wanted to guess at fair value for 2026, you could basically take the EPS management gave, the EPS guidance, that management gave of 80 cents EPS, multiply that times the multiple you think that they deserve, and that will give you the 2026 fair value for the stock. Now you can go and check the SoFi bull and bear case video if you want the details on where I have the multiple at, the why behind why I have that multiple set right there, and all those details. I'm not saying mine is right, but I at least lay out the logic for why I put it right there at that stage because we really don't know where Wall Street's going to settle on the multiple for SOFI. Now, could they guide significantly higher than that for 2026 and future quarters? Absolutely, they could. And if you're asking me to guess and speculate a little bit here, I'm going to say, yeah, they probably will. That's been their MO from the start. I got 4 or 5 years worth of data here to go back and pull from. And no, that's exactly what they're going to do. But I'm not going to speculate on that, especially in a hot market, because in super hot markets like these that we're in right now, people give ridiculous price targets. And then because they give these crazy price targets and big moves happen when you're in a speculative market, everybody starts to think that it's reasonable. And maybe the first couple were reasonable, but at some point in time, you reach utterly ridiculousness, right? But then it keeps going and it keeps going because people can't help themselves. They just got to keep pumping it because, of course, it gets engagement and everything else. And that's the pros too. By the way, Dan Ives is notorious for that. Just like a lot of YouTubers are right here. It builds great audiences, does a lot of things, makes you a lot of money as a creator. Look back in 2021 at all the estimates for all the hot stocks in 2022 and 2023, all those high flyers out there. Look at those estimates from back then and tell me, and people believe them. More importantly, that was the sad part, was people were believing those were reasonable. And now here we are 4 years later, and not one of those stocks that we were tracking back then has come close to those ridiculous numbers. And yes, I've adjusted for the splits and all that sort of stuff. Not anywhere close to those numbers that were being put out by then. But we should be enjoying them right now, according to all that trash that was being put out back then. We've discussed that all at length in other videos, so I'm not going to rehash all the data here, but that's exactly what happens in a hypey type market. So I don't want to do that, but I feel very confident knowing, man, the numbers that I have out there are probably sandbagged to a very reasonable level. And obviously, I think management's going to come in and blow those expectations out of the water and obviously adjust the guidance accordingly. But great quarter, great execution, great everything all the way around. It is very impressive. But hey, what else do you expect from a top 5 management team? And yeah, we have been saying that here for years now in this group based upon earnings performance, not the stock price or anything else. Based upon earnings performance, we've been saying, hey, this is a top 5 management team. They just continue to execute on an incredibly high level. And of course, now the stock price is finally moving and it looks like it won't dump on us after earnings like the norm. But if it does next week or next month or whenever, I know we will be gobbling up shares. So if you're looking to buy, that is where your planning and everything else comes into play. So important. Get into it. Dig into the courses. If you don't have that goal, do your due diligence on the stock. Don't take Luke's word for it. Don't take anybody else's word for it. Don't let the earnings excitement, push you into FOMOing into the stock or anything else of that nature. Understand what you own. Go with your plan and simply execute to your plan. More importantly, don't try to guess where it's going to go. You're going to lose sooner or later. It's a fool's game. Nobody can do it. All the greats all say they can't do it, and they are all far smarter than any of us are in regards to investing. If they say they can't do it, I'm not going to try either. I would suggest you guys not try either. Just stick to those plans and enjoy the ride that we've gotten here with SOFI so far. All that hard work, all that ignoring the noise, all that adding of shares and adding of shares and adding of shares and having it not really go anywhere over that time frame finally is paying off here a little bit. But hey, I'm not going to complain if Wall Street wants to beat it down again and give me more shares on a discount, because this management team is executing on a high level. And more importantly, not hype stuff, but I think the best is still to come here in the future. Now, obviously, if the stock price runs away from us too much, we're going to be in a different spot, kind of like we are with Palantir right now, where we're kind of in a holding pattern with that stock. But we're not anywhere close to that yet. So let's just enjoy it for right now. Again, dig into those earnings, get into that call, dig into those numbers, and then kind of move forward from there. So, and don't forget the flash sale ends tomorrow, where you get videos just like that. You get to see all my buy and sell alerts in real time, get my complete watch list for price targets, have access to me anytime, jump on our live Q&As, take your 5 courses for free, get your free coaching, use the stock analyzer tool for free. Guys, there is so much involved in the group. Make sure you check out the pinned comment, take advantage of the flash sale before the price goes up. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market, and click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.